Yep, that's me. I bet you're wondering what I did to get myself in this situation. My name's Calc, and welcome to another Troodon video. Now, I do think it's fair to give you guys a little bit of context. So, now, this is not intended to be a how do you 1v1 an Allo as a Troodon, because quite frankly, it just depends on what kind of player is driving that dino. Sure, you can learn the different hitboxes or whatever attacks, but the more tools you have in your toolbox, the more wrenches you can throw at the monkey. Pretty much all I'm going to do is just talk about what's going on in my head during this fight, that way you can kind of get a glimpse into my head and how I get into yours. So I was playing on US 6. It was middle of the weekday, so there weren't a lot of people online. But I had hopped on just to have some fun, maybe entomb a few times, when I saw this Allo, a lone Allo over here in West Trail. He was running around chasing AI, obviously growing out his Allo. A lot of players will hop on a low populated server to start growing some of the bigger stuff, because they're less likely to actually run into another player that's just going to outright murder hobo them. That way, when the server is full, they already have a full grown or a prime ready to go. Which is funny, because they do see a player and they immediately go, oh, another player? Time to murder hobo. When I'm playing solo, I keep only one thing in mind. How fast can I get this target out of stamina? The reason I do that is 1, I don't have to run away from a target that doesn't have the gas to chase me. 2, I can take my time and set the fights at my own pace. 3, if I'm limiting what somebody can do, I can better predict what they're going to try to do and use that to my own advantage. There's also the fact that all of our damage is pretty much tied to our stamina in the form of pouncing. If you burn up all your stamina too early, not only are you at risk of being caught out and chased down by the target that you were hunting, but at some point you're just not going to be able to fight because you can't regain stamina. So you're going to have to play a very dangerous game of chicken. I'm not trying to do damage to him right now. I need to make sure I have more stamina than him at all times. So what do? Let the stage drop. When he can see me, I gently coax him into actually coming after me so that he can burn out more stamina, and the more stamina I can get him to burn, the better. You can use the Troodon's long running time and fantastic stamina regen to your advantage. A lot of times, players will try to bait you into pouncing them. When you know they're baiting you, you pretend to fall for it. Alt attacks are free, 2.5% stamina lost. So what you're going to see me do here is just run around him, try to get him to spam those alt attacks, because Allo does have a very, very fast alt attack, and players are going to use that to their advantage. So if you know they're going to spam it, encourage them. The more stamina they burn, the better it's going to fare for you in the long run. Once again, letting the stage drop. This Allo is already so frustrated and annoyed that even though he's going into the open where he has an advantage, just a simple little wiggle makes him turn around, sprint after me again, until he reaches the tree line. He's trying to bait me to pounce him whenever he turns away. I know he's doing that, so I use that to my advantage. He gets envenomated again, stops at the tree line, and begins to walk out into the field again. At this point, he must have realized how low his stamina actually was. And despite me constantly making noise as if I'm close by, he's still going to sit down. Seeing how desperate he was for stamina, I'm going to get him into stage 3 for the first time. Because it's something different, it's moved to a new stage of the fight, and it applies a little bit more mental pressure than you think. Now he's going to be hyper-reactive to everything I do. Every little movement that I make, and every little sound that I make, is going to get his full, undivided attention. And you can use that to your advantage. Hyper-reactive players are my favorite players to fight. They're always looking for the perfect counter. So anytime they think you're going to take full advantage of the situation, don't. It'll force them to expend stamina, especially when they realize that they messed up. And there's another reason that I like to drain out a target's stamina. You might already know, but once you enter the wounded status or 50% HP or lower, your bite force drops. However, low stamina also decreases your damage output. So, when he manages to actually land a tail hit, his damage is so low, it puts me into wounded, but it doesn't kill me. My stamina is getting relatively low, but despite it being below 50% now, I can still regain it by simply crouching, and he has to sit down and rest. So all I have to do is keep him burning stamina, or at the very least not regaining it, while I slowly take my time and get my stamina back so I'm ready to fight again. One of the mutations I recommend for Troodons is multi-chambered lungs, because when you're at 55%, you can trot and get stamina back, instead of waiting to be at 60. That 5% may not seem like a lot, but it's 5% worth of forgiveness, and it's 5% more stamina that you can burn to bait out more attacks to ensure your target is completely exhausted. And when you're out of stamina, your bleed time increases, which means it takes longer for bleed to heal, and you end up dumping out more blood. So the more he moves and the more he attacks, the more blood he's going to end up losing. And that just puts more strain and more pressure on them. And even if he does sit down for a couple seconds, it's not enough. He might get a couple points of a percent back, but all I have to do is make him do a single alt attack, and all that hard-earned stamina goes away. And even if I don't make him alt attack, it's not even enough stamina for him to passively regen it unless he sits back down. So I just gotta keep on moving. Because as long as he's moving, he can't get stamina back, and I'm in control. My stamina has crested again, so I can get stamina back while trotting. So while I can trot, he still has to sit down. This is the power of stamina management and how wonderful that multi-chambered perk actually is. And like I said before, the longer a fight goes on, the more stress it puts on the player. He's realized that he can't do anything in his current state. And unfortunately, what you're going to see him do here is kind of cheesy. And it was actually a bug that was very exploitable in the early patch. What I'm referring to was something that was discovered by people that used the combat log. If you would try to rest, initiate a safe log, quickly force close out of the game, and then try to re-log back in, and it would actually re-roll them 5 minutes. So he would get his HP that he had 5 minutes ago, and he would get his stamina back that he had 5 minutes ago. But it was actually recently patched. But of course, players will go to Reddit for all the tips, trips, and cheesy metagaming strats. And they'll use it as a last-ditch effort because it's all they can do. But all he's giving me right now is free damage. So I'm going to burn out quite a hefty chunk of stamina here because I don't know if he's going to come back. This is why I tell people you shouldn't try to even combat log against Troodons. Our damage output can be so high that this is just a free target for us to practice. Now, one thing I did discover. When a player logs back in after a force close, it will actually reset them to a base status. What does that mean? Well, you're going to see how quickly he drops out of stage 3. Remember, stage 3 lasts for 45 seconds. Base. So you can imagine my surprise when he came back. I'm so low on stamina, I don't know if the reroll actually worked at this point. So I'm going to get a little bit of stamina back so I can at least crouch and then walk at him. If that reroll had worked, he would be walking right at me instead of desperately two-calling, because he would have stamina and HP. I'm waiting to hit 35% stamina. That way I know I can get stamina back while crouching, and I can approach him, and I'm still going to have more stamina than him, even though he's been sitting down the entire time. I know he can see me. I know he can hear me. And I want him to know I'm getting closer. Because he was desperate enough to try to use an exploit to reset the pace of the fight and put himself back in the advantage, I know that small little things like this, trotting at him as if I have stamina, is going to be enough to make him overreact and panic. Remember, I'm getting stamina back just by crouching. He still has to sit down and rest. So all I have to do is pressure him just enough where he can't get stamina back, but I can. Pretending you have more stamina than you actually do is a great way to keep the pressure on them. And when they don't know what state you're actually in, they have to constantly think, guess, and gamble with every decision they make. Because players will just take what they see as gospel and truth. So all you have to do is lie to them. I'm about to hit that magic 55% number because of multi-chambered. Now I am getting stamina back just by trotting. But I can still walk and crouch to make him think I'm still getting stamina back, and I have less than I actually do. He's even trying to use the little elevation of the hill, cresting over it and then crouching and then going on the low side, thinking he can get the jump on me with his last little bit of stamina. But because I know he has stamina, it's so much easier to make him use it. Once again, he's trying to bait me now, waiting until I get just close enough where he can just hit sprint, close the distance on me, and get a quick lucky bite. But when you know what players are thinking, it's so much easier to bait them into doing it. And this is why I think the Troodon is one of the most powerful dinos in the game. Not just because of its massive damage output. The Troodon is just the most skill-expressive dino in the game. With enough patience, experimentation, you can take on anything in the game with enough practice and time. Play the mind games. Be the David against the Goliath. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you think I deserve it, give me a like, give me a hype, and if you find yourself coming back, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And as always, stay trashy. I'll see you guys in the next one.